All right, welcome everyone. Thank you again for joining us for virtual celebration. We're excited to bring this event to you as well. We have our Next Generation Summit, and we're going to be kind of discussing and going further into that. Matt Davis will be our moderator for this, and he's going to be introducing our panelists.
Yeah, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us. It's my pleasure to moderate this panel discussion. We've got 4 Next Gen members, and before I do introductions, I'll just let everybody know what the Next Generation Coalition, because hopefully we've got some folks out there that are just discovering this group that we have. So launched in 2018, the Next Generation Coalition, also known as Next Gen or the Coalition, is a peer-to-peer network of young North Country Trail supporters who share their passion for the North Country Trail through outreach, advocacy, volunteerism, and use of the trail. And if you go to our website, northcountrytrail.org, and then /our/work/Next Generation Coalition, or I think there might even be a banner image you can click on to learn more about that organization and read more about some of the other folks that are taking part in the coalition. So with us today, we've got, again, 4 folks. First, Jaron Kramer of Duluth, Minnesota, is an avid hiker and trail runner, where he is also the Development and Communications Director for the Superior Hiking Trail Association, which is one of the North Country Trail Association's trail affiliate groups here in Minnesota. So thanks, Jaron. Felicia Hulkenstead of Marquette, Michigan, is a member of the North Country Trail Hikers chapter in Marquette, Michigan, and also the Next Generation Coalition since its inception in 2018. She volunteers time for administrative tasks, leading group hikes, and some trail maintenance projects as well. And Felicia was profiled, I think it was last year, for her volunteer efforts. So if you go to our website and just search for Felicia, you can read that cool article about how she's gotten involved with the trail. Next, we have Emily Rodriguez of Grand Rapids, Michigan, who is a former North Country Trail Association intern. So she helped run the Next Generation Coalition for a while and is also a member of the Western Michigan chapter. So welcome, Emily. And finally, Chase Gregory of Buffalo, New York, writes software for trails and outdoor companies. He loves to hike, climb, cycle, sail, and kayak. Most of his time is spent working for the Finger Lakes Trail. Welcome, Chase. All right, so we are going to get rolling with our first question, and we're going to go from west to east. So, Jaron, we're going to kick it off with you. Tell us your story. What do we need to know about you?
Thanks, Matt. As you mentioned, I am a staff member for the Superior Hiking Trail Association, and we're one of the affiliate groups who helps take care of our 300 some miles of the North Country Trail, the Superior Hiking Trail section. My story is that I grew up in the Pacific Northwest near Mount Rainier, and I grew up spending a lot of time in the outdoors. I went to the University of Washington and got my degree in environmental studies. And in 2018, I moved here with my spouse to Duluth, Minnesota. She grew up in the Twin Cities, and she picked Duluth for access to trails and access to the outdoors, and I give her a ton of credit for picking Duluth. We now have a house with the SHT just outside of our backyard, so I can literally walk out my door and get on the trail for a run or a hike or a sunrise walk, whatever I need to do. And my work with the association and the work here with the coalition has helped me hone some of my skills in advocacy for the outdoors, for natural places, green spaces, and for getting people involved in protecting that. And so I'm really excited to be a part of the coalition to continue that effort and to welcome more people into the space of valuing this precious world that we live in.
Thank you, Jaron. Felicia, you're up next.
All right. So a few years ago, I moved from central Wisconsin to Marquette, Michigan. And in general, hiking has played like a big role in improving my mental health. And then I just kind of kept finding myself on these trails that had blue blazes. And just to learn a little bit more about like where I was hiking, I kind of looked it up and I noticed that there was a chapter in Marquette. And as a newbie in the UP, I wanted to make some connections. So I decided to join the chapter, and shortly after, I also joined the coalition. And since then, I've just been working with the chapter to try and recruit more members so that there will still be a chapter around after all of the other members eventually retire.
Yeah, thank you. Emily, you're next.
Yeah, so I am from the West Michigan area, and I grew up not too far from the trail, but it took me until about college that I really discovered the association and that there was an actual trail network. So back in 2018, kind of the similar story to Felicia's, I saw some blue blazes, I saw some signs, and from there I discovered Celebration in Hocking Hills. So my husband and I attended Celebration, and from there we were hooked. We've been hiking the trail. We love to get out with family. It's just kind of our time to find some solitude on the trail and outdoors. So early last year, I started as the NCTA's Next Gen Outreach intern. So part of my role was just kind of advancing this program that was started in 2018, build on the work of the previous intern. And so part of my duties were to recruit more members, speak with the chapters, and just kind of connect members with the chapters.
Perfect, thank you. All right, Chase.
All right, so I'm from New York, and start off, I lost one of my friends due to a drug overdose, and we talked about doing the North Country Trail in the Allegheny National Forest, and so in respect to him, I ended up doing that section. On the way, I found a volunteer advertisement for the Finger Lakes Trail, and I started like, I have some programming skills, maybe I can help them out. And then I started volunteering for the FLT, and it shot off from there. I've been writing software for them for about 1.5 years now, and we're getting close to completing it, and it'll be pretty cool to see it come to fruition. Now, my involvement with the Next Generation Coalition, I got an email from the executive director, Quinn Wright, for the Finger Lakes Trail, and he said, "Are you interested in doing something like this?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So sent in my application to Emily, and kind of went off from there.
Excellent. Well, thanks everybody. So Chase, we'll start with you on this next question. What motivates you to spend time outdoors on the North Country Trail and also to be involved with the North Country Trail Association?
I have a passion for it. Ever since I did my first real backpacking trip, it's a fire that's been growing, and I talk about it all the time with my friends. I get people out. I volunteer for the Ncta with the marketing committee in New York. And it's just something that I love doing.
Perfect. How about you, Emily?
Yeah, so for me, growing up, the outdoors was always a big part of my life, and I always enjoyed hiking. And then when I learned that these trails don't just build themselves, don't maintain themselves, somebody actually does the work, I wanted to figure out who did it and how I can get involved. So that's how I was introduced to the NCTA.
Perfect. How about you, Felicia?
So hiking wasn't something that I really did as a kid. It wasn't something that I was introduced to early on. But in my late 20s, I started hiking more just to help with anxiety and depression. And just like getting onto the trail and actually finding out like how big the trail was just really intrigued me. And so since I started learning about it, mostly what motivates me is to help advocate for it and do what I can to support, I guess, the local chapter.
Excellent. How about you, Jaron?
You know, my desire, my motivation for enjoying the NCT and the SHT and some of our other trails has changed in the last year. I'd say for a long time, it was really about this incredible recreation opportunity that was so close to home and somewhere for me to go that was pretty low cost and really enjoyable. And in the last year, it's changed to being about my health. I've really found that I feel so much better when I go for a daily walk or try and get outside as much as possible. And the fact that there is a well-maintained trail so close to home and I can drive a couple states over and hop on the same system and keep moving on a road trip is so important to me. So I still have that recreation desire, but I think there's more to it now as it's played a greater role in my life. And as far as being involved with the NCTA, I see the organization as connecting so many people in our community, and not just in one state or one area, but across a huge swath of our country. And the work that the NCTA does is top-notch, professional. You guys really are leaders, and I feel honored to be a part of the community and being able to help out. So that's why I stay with it.
Cool. Jaron, I thought for sure you were going to say you grew up in the Pacific Northwest where everybody hikes, right?
Yes, it's definitely true. And
yeah,
bringing energy back here to the original Northwest, which is
yeah, right. Yeah, to me, that's one of the interesting things. I grew up in Connecticut, and New England has a very strong hiking culture. The little town that I grew up in, has a population of 2,000, and it has a long distance hiking trail in it and another designated hiking trail. And so that's just kind of what we all did as kids, is just get outside and go for a hike. And moving to the Midwest, especially in Lakes country, it seems like that's not the case. Everybody, all my friends around here go to the lake for recreation and some kind of a fish out of water. But cool. All right. So let's move on to the next one. And Jaron, we'll start with you. Give examples of your involvement with the North Country Trail Association. How, besides your work, or, feel free to, talk about your work. How are you involved?
Sure. My primary involvement with NCTA outside of work has been helping to organize a couple of our partnered events and to attend a couple events to represent the coalition. So last year, NCTA provided a scholarship for me to attend the celebration in Michigan, which was an excellent experience for me to meet a whole bunch of folks in the NCTA community and to explore the trail in a different state. It really was a wonderful experience for me. And then last year as well, when the authorization for the Arrowhead reroute went through, I was able to help plan a couple of our celebration events, which again was folks who live nearby who I didn't realize were a part of our trail community. So being able to meet them. And then beyond that, and this is partly related to my work, I've been able to use my position to help welcome people to the trail and try to give them the right kinds of information to start off the bat, whether that's pointing them to the NCTA website or some of the resources the SHTA provides for our section of the trail. I think getting people who are new to our trail, whether they're younger or older, getting them connected with Leave No Trace principles, with trail information, maps, guidebooks, is really helpful so that they have a great experience and then begin to understand the value that our organizations play in caring for the trail and providing this kind of information. So I kind of get to double dip in personal and professional to be able to do that.
That works. How about you, Felicia?
So right now I am a member of the NCT Hikers chapter, and because of my work commitments, I'm not always available to help with trail maintenance. I've done a couple of those projects, but because I'm not able to really commit to those, I try other ways to get involved with the chapter, like administrative tasks. And before everything happened with COVID, I was starting to organize monthly group hikes. So I really like hiking and I really like to introduce people to hiking. So like outside of the North Country Trail Hikers, I lead like a women's backpacking type thing too. So the group hike thing was really kind of my jam, and now it's been put on pause. And then I know pretty soon our chapter president is going to be stepping down. So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can to help with that transition.
Excellent. Thank you. How about you, Emily?
So before my internship with NCTA, I joined the Western Michigan chapter and started getting involved with some of their chapter meetings, as well as some of their trail maintenance and trail building days. And then once I started my internship, I had the opportunity to attend celebration last year in Bel Air. I also had the opportunity to attend the Friends Alliance meeting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming last year to represent the coalition. We received a grant to fund our Next Gen Summit last year that took place in the Porcupine Mountains in the UP of Michigan. So I went there just to kind of represent the NCTA and the coalition. And then this year, before the pandemic hit, Chase and I had the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. for Hike the Hill and meet with different legislators from all across the trail.
Yeah, that's great. Did you guys get to meet any of the other young folks from any of the other trails when you were in Washington?
Mm-hmm, we did.
Yeah, I believe that was the first year that NCTA has had younger folks participate in Hike the Hill. So yeah, thank you guys for doing that. How about you, Chase?
Well, so I went with Emily to Hike the Hill. Recently, with the FLT, I helped automate the FLT 50 process, and we're getting a bunch of really great numbers for our marketing data in order to help improve income coming into the trail so that we can help expand and improve all of the shelters and hit our strategic plan that we have set in place. Today, I actually just finished up setting up the entire trail in a digital kind of map, and every day it's just I'm doing something new that's helping my trail grow and maybe potentially the NCTA.
Excellent. So it sounds like you guys are all finding that way to kind of mesh your passion, things that you're passionate about with the trail, and finding a way to use your abilities to advance the trail, which is one of the things I always tell people about, getting involved with the North Country Trail is it doesn't matter what your skill is. I think people tend to think, we're looking for young, bodybuilders that can go out and, build 100 miles of trail in a day. Yeah, we need some people like that, but, no matter what skill you have, there's a way that you can put that skill and talent to benefit the North Country Trail. And, talking to private landowners, without, getting permission to put new trail on private land, a lot of our chapters are just kind of sitting around twiddling their thumbs. So, yeah. One thing I will mention to all the participants, if you have a question for any of the panelists, feel free to either use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. It's two little call outs with a Q&A, or you can put it in the chat. And my colleague Kenny is waiting patiently for those questions to come in, and we'll get to those questions either right in the midstream if there's one that follows up on something we just talked about, or at the end after we're done with our prepared questions. So thank you. All right, so Chase, we'll start with you on this one. What are the trail or outdoor recreation issues that are important to you?
Actually, it's the social media aspect and how hashtagging specific locations can actually cause a lot of impact. Telling people where the great vistas are and having crowds flock the area and all at once is terrible to the trails and the litter that you find afterwards. So those are one of the things. I'm pushing hard to train other people to practice leave no trace principles. And yeah.
Perfect, thank you. How about you, Emily?
One of the issues that's most important to me would be trail accessibility. Like all of us, some people have not grown up around trails. They don't have hiking boots. They don't have a backpack. So just being a welcoming community and helping make the trails accessible to all, even if you don't have the equipment, you don't have the experience. That's one thing that has really attracted me to the trail system.
Excellent. Yeah, to me, that's one of the best things about hiking is, really all you need is a pair of shoes. And, most of us already have some kind of shoes, and to have a trail nearby. You can go out and spend a gazillion dollars on gear, but, you can be just as happy with, your kid's backpack and your pair of tennis shoes. How about you, Felicia?
So one thing that I really value and something that is an issue, I guess, really right now because of COVID and the overuse of the trails is leave no trace principles. So I follow this gal on Instagram who encourages stewardship through a movement called the 11th Essential, which is basically just making sure that you include like a bag, like anything that you can put garbage in your day pack when you go out. So I try to do that. And then if I see garbage along the trail, I can be a steward and I can pick it up as I hike. So just like promoting stuff like that and educating people on leave no trace principles so we can take care of the trail. That's something that is an issue that's really important to me.
Perfect. How about you, Jaren?
Given my kind of environmental studies background, sustainability is important to me with everything that I do. And I see it touching a lot of aspects of the trail and outdoor recreation generally, from how we're building and maintaining the trail, and some of the principles and standards and leadership that you personally, Matt, have helped us SHTA work on with some of our most popular sections, and how to raise the trail to a sustainable standard and keep it there. But also in how we're connecting with trail users. I think that's a critical piece of sustainability for the organizations that care for the trail and then for the trails themselves. Welcoming new people and especially younger folks into these organizations and finding ways to engage them and make best use of their skills, as you suggested, I think is absolutely critical. And then also the bigger picture, how the trail fits in with land stewardship. In a lot of cases, having the trail crossing some bit of public land and maybe even some private land helps protect that section of green space from maybe a less environmentally sustainable development. And so I think we play a really important role in the bigger picture, not just in the outdoor recreation space, but in land use and management as a whole. So sustainability all the way.
Excellent. All right, so next, Jaren, we'll come back to you, and we're going to put you all four on the spot. How does the North Country Trail Association successfully pass the baton from one generation to the next? You know, it's no secret, most of our volunteer community is kind of retired folks. We don't have a lot of folks, you know, as young as you guys out there. So how do we do that? What ideas do you have?
This is a great question, and something that the SHTA is working on too. I think you're on the right track by having a coalition like this with that mission and focus to engage younger people. So kudos. Something that I see is specific to trail building, at least. I feel like I'm kind of over my head at times working with people who have been out doing it for 5, 10, 20 years and come with a lot of skills that I just don't have, having worked in a office setting through my career. And so having ways to involve folks in some of the trail building and maintenance skills, you know, how do you lop the trail? How do you build some of these structures? And I know getting folks to sign up to do that is its own challenge, but I think that's where we, with some of our social media skills and communication skills, can help with that. But then backing that up with the actual maintenance at times, I think is really critical. And I think some of the other folks on the coalition can speak to advocacy and getting involved in other levels of leadership. But having that kind of skill building, I think, is really important. So I'll leave it there.
Excellent. Thank you, Jaren. How about you, Felicia?
So I think one thing that would really help is, I guess, being open to change, because I know certain members have been with the organization for a long time and things don't really work as well for maybe our generation like they did before, and it's kind of hard to say that. But just the clubs being open to like new ideas, and so I've had a little bit of pushback from that, but just being kind of stubborn, I still have worked my way into the chapter. So really it's an intimidating thing, like Jaren said, like walking into a room of people who've been with the chapter for years and years, and then just being the new girl, like, oh, I have this idea. So just being, I guess, more open to new people coming in with ideas, because nothing can really change unless you're open to that type of growth.
Well, thank you for your persistence. How about you, Emily?
Yeah, to add on to everything Jaron and Felicia said, one thing the chapters and the association overall could do to help engage younger people is just being open to different schedules, different availability, different skill sets. So maybe an 8-hour workday in the middle of the week is not going to work for somebody who's in college or who has a young family. So maybe a 3 to 4 hour workday on a Saturday morning would work well for them, and maybe send out a survey just to kind of see what would work. Another thing that I think would work great is a mentoring program. So we've seen it with the Western Michigan chapter, how they're passing on the baton to Sarah. So she's working with Beth to learn all the ropes and use this year as a time to just learn all the skills she'll need to be a leader for the chapter.
Excellent, thank you. How about you, Chase?
So I think that communicating and finding places where communication is successful with kids in our generation. When I talk to some of my other peers, they don't even know that the Ncta is a thing. And I don't know if that's my fault for not being more communicative about it, but I try to put advertisements and get people involved and have other people around me know that they can come to me that if they need information about a specific part of the trail and what to expect. So.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I think, for some folks, my age and older, it's hard to keep track of what is the new forms of technology that young people are using to communicate. And, my kids are too young, they're not on smartphones, so I can't rely on them to help me. So yeah, some of us are sitting here going, we need young folks like you to help us, carry that message that we've got out there, through the right channels to reach folks. So that's, an easy way that young people can get involved and help, help us, with our communication channels. Perfect. So yep. Did somebody have a follow-up?
Well, I just want to chime in. We got a couple questions in now, and you guys, the panelists, are just hitting them spot on. But just on the lines with the communicating, any opportunities do you see for the Ncta to engage with colleges and universities?
You want to hit that one first, Chase?
Yeah, sure. Most colleges have outdoor programs. The first thing you have to do is find the representative and start talking to them. And I found some people that don't always communicate back, but that's just part of the college. You just have to keep on trying. You have to talk to, for instance, UB has the Outdoor Adventure Club, and talking to some of those kids, you can kind of feel where they're going to do and what kind of volunteering efforts they're going to put in. So just communication, finding the right loops to go through and the right people to talk to.
Thank you. Got any ideas, Emily?
Yeah, I'd say in addition to some of these outdoor recreation clubs, professors in the sustainability, environmental studies departments are usually looking for volunteer opportunities for their students. I know when I was at Grand Valley, part of my class requirements was to go out and do some trail maintenance. So there's a perfect opportunity to get a group of young people out on the trail to learn about the trail. So like Chase said, you just got to find the right contacts in the right departments at colleges.
Excellent. How about you, Felicia? Any ideas to share?
Yep, so the NCT Hikers chapter has actually been working with a club from Northern called the Conservation Crew. And so I guess we still have to work on maintaining that relationship, but we have had groups of people come out for group hikes from that club and also help with trail maintenance in the past. So it is something that we're working on, but yeah, having the right contacts is a big thing, so.
Any ideas, Jaron? Thank you, Felicia.
Kind of two quick thoughts. Having representation at events, I think, is really helpful. And, I've been able to join a couple of the Earth Day events at local colleges here in Duluth. preach the gospel of the trail. And I think that's just a way of putting us in front of younger folks in that way. But it's still a leap to get them involved and engaged from there. I think sometimes having organizational events that are at venues and a part of other events that are more attractive to younger folks, like we've been able to host taproom nights at some of the local breweries that I think are drawing a younger crowd. So it's kind of still away from the university a little bit, but that's where they're going on a Thursday night. And just, it's not necessarily the students who are in the program right now, but I think alumni associations are another great resource to connect with, because they're looking for activities for alumni groups or presentations, especially right now in the COVID world. Having a virtual tour of the local section of the trail might be a good way to connect the alumni association and build that relationship with the university, so that you can have other ways to find engagement.
Yeah, those are all great ideas. One of the things that I loved about the Appalachian Trail when I worked there was 2 of the 30 maintaining clubs were actually college outdoor groups. You had the Outing Club at Virginia Tech and Dartmouth Outing Club. What a fantastic relationship, because that college or that university has stepped up and said, we're going to maintain this piece of the Appalachian Trail over time. So it kind of forces that, organization to get its ducks in a row so that, it'll have students, in perpetuity. And I'd love to see, if we could replicate that on the North Country Trail. Maybe a challenge is, how do we get, one outdoor club to, become, its own chapter, or to adopt, a long section of the North Country Trail and take that long-term responsibility for it. So just one wacky idea. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Or Kenny, did you have another one, a follow-up?
Nope.
All right. Let's see. So we are going to start with Chase. What can North Country Trail Association chapters do to be genuinely more welcoming to younger people? And I think we've already touched on some of these ideas, but any other ones that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, being open to change. I think Felicia hit it right on the head with the hammer.
Short and sweet. Any to add, Emily?
One thing with trail work days is just making sure that there's a good orientation and training session for new members, and even for everybody, just kind of reiterating trail safety, tool use, just making it feel a little less intimidating for somebody who may be there for the first time.
Excellent. Any ideas, Felicia?
They really hit 2 points that I would suggest. I don't have much more to say.
Perfect. Thank you. Any ideas, Jaron?
It's kind of in the same realm, but what my single word that I wrote down is listen, which is really just be willing to hear some of the ideas and strategies and questions that we have as far as how we see ourselves trying to be involved. And that may not always be the same as what a chapter might want or be looking for, but when that can when those 2 pieces can overlap, I think that's where trust and relationship building and engagement can really flourish. So yeah, being willing to listen.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, we'll go back to Jaron. And what does the future hold for you? What are your career plans?
I really hope to be able to hike the Border Route Trail and eventually the Kekakabik Trail here in northern Minnesota. I've lived here for 3 years and I still haven't made it up to the BRT. So close. So more hiking and more trail running is hopefully in my future.
Anything crazy, like, trying to run it all in one day, or?
No, not at all. I think I take a leisurely backpacking trip.
All right.
Take an extended weekend or a week to soak it all in, and maybe even this fall when the leaves are in full color. As far as my career plans, we just welcomed on a new executive director here at the Superior Hiking Trail. Our previous director, Denny Kneff, stepped away, and we brought on Lisa Lukala, and we're excited to have her with us. And it's been a great opportunity for me to learn my role and how to support this organization in a deeper way with some of the strengths that she brings. So in the immediate future, I'm really excited to get to know her and learn from her skills. And in the future, I feel like communications is what's drawing me in further. And I'm not sure if that means grad school or further training, trying to enhance the association's communications with different outlets, with live videos or a podcast or something like that. But I think that's just one way to help people connect within our community, and to be a facilitator of that would bring a lot of joy for me. So if I can make that part of my career, that's what I'm hoping for.
Excellent. How about you, Felicia?
So I'm kind of afraid to say this out loud because then I'm really committed, but if things go back to normal, sort of, by 2021, I'm hoping to through hike the Superior Hiking Trail. But I'm pretty new to backpacking. I'm doing the section through Pictured Rocks in a few weeks, and that'll be my first multi-day backpacking trip. So we'll see how that goes first. And then as far as my career plans, right now I'm working at the university in Marquette just because it's a steady income. But I would love to find myself in a position to work for some sort of nonprofit similar to the Ncta or at the Ncta. I don't know what the future holds, but that's something that I would like to see happen at some point.
Excellent. How about you, Emily?
One of my short-term goals is to finally complete my Hike 100. I have been kind of, I don't know, I've just been, haven't been out on the trail as much lately. I don't know if it's the heat, the bugs, but I'm going to stop making excuses and finally complete my 100 miles. But looking more long-term, I'd love to do a section hike. I'm not sure where that would be, but I'd love to either get up to Pictured Rocks or do the Superior Hiking Trail. That's long-term in the future. As far as my career plans, I'd love to stay in the nonprofit sector. My internship with the Ncta was my introduction to the nonprofit world, and I fell in love with it. And so I hope to stay kind of involved that way.
Excellent. How about you, Chase?
Well, my hiking goals, I'm going to finish up my 46 high peaks of the Adirondacks. I'm only 8 away, so I'm hoping to finish that in a couple of weeks, actually. And next spring, once I'm finished with the contract that I'm in, I'm going to through hike the FLT. And professionally, I'm not actually sure. Once this contract's complete, I'm going to try to maintain it and find another job and just explore, see what kind of options and opportunities I have for me.
Excellent. So that is all of the questions that I had. Kenny, you got any that came in from the audience?
Sorry, we just had one come in and I'm reading it. It's long.
Kenny's screening it intensely.
Right.
Well, how about, while Kenny's doing that, any of the panelists, do any of you guys have questions that you want to ask of your fellow Next Gen Coalition members? Any burning questions? Or sounds like Jern is going to get questioned about how do I hike the Superior Hiking Trail?
I welcome those questions, so please ask anytime. I'm happy to help.
I just became an official SHT member and I got all the guidebooks and stuff, so that's where I'm starting.
Very nice.
Christmas in August when you get the guidebook and the maps. And... Cool. Anybody else? All right, Kenny, what do you got for us?
Yeah, we have a question here. It's wondering, so we have a lot of chapters have monthly meetings or full chapter meetings, and often including hikes, speakers, presentations, things of that nature. Wondering if you could just address an ideal time frame and maybe some topics that are of interest for these meetings.
Good question. Who wants to start? We don't need to go east to west or west to east now. We're in bonus time. Any ideas?
As far as, oh, go ahead, Chase.
I figure that my time frame, the best time that works for me is actually a Monday in the afternoon. That seems to be really what works for the FLT and the web committee. And the topics is really up to the chapter and what you're doing inside, what projects you have going on. Some projects may interest more people than others. For instance, I'm not so interested in trail maintenance, but more into the administrative side, just like how Felicia is.
Any other ideas?
Oftentimes, our club will invite representatives from different organizations in the community, or they will invite, like we learned about the NMU Conservation Club through a presentation, and that's kind of how they got involved with our chapter. So that has been really beneficial to us, and I don't know if anybody else does that.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
No, you go ahead, Jared.
I was going to say on that topic, you know, having something where you are bringing in a speaker or presenter from another organization that might be interesting to younger folks, I think kind of does two things. You know, it gets people in the door and helps you build that relationship with that presenter or that speaker. I've seen a couple of the nonprofit outdoor groups here in Duluth do that with a ton of success, hosting it at a tap room that is all ages, and they get a ton of people out and just make a quick pitch like, yeah, this is the coalition, but really here's your speaker tonight. You know, they keep it real simple. So I think that's an effective approach.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of fun. I got the opportunity to share with a group in Fargo called Nature of the North, which is kind of a outdoorsy networking social kind of organization. And the same thing, they meet in the tap room kind of down in the basement. And every month they have somebody come in and talk about something related to the outdoors. And the other person that was speaking that same night was talking about geocaching. So yeah, it was a cool opportunity. You know, not every chapter has, you know, a community like Fargo or Duluth to draw from, but you know, there might be a League of Women Voters group or something, you know, that a chapter could tap into in a smaller community. Any more questions, Kenny?
Yeah, could you just touch on what's the kind of age range the coalition is in now?
So right now, our requirements, people need to be between the ages of 18 and 35. The real biggest requirement is you have to be passionate about the North Country Trail and the outdoors. You know, it helps if you're good at communication, and you have to be available to engage regularly throughout the year. And that can be via social media or through, you know, other communications, you know, probably Zoom meetings. And I believe every year the group tries to get together for a summit. Last year it was in the UP. I remember seeing some pictures. Kenny had some good stories to tell of you guys all out there building trail. And then some of the benefits of being a member of the Next Gen Coalition, you get, there's a Facebook group that's specific to the Next Gen Coalition. You get invitations to exclusive events. Some of you mentioned, you know, scholarships to go to the annual celebration, hike the hill, those kinds of things. The Next Gen Summit, and then networking opportunities. You know, you guys are all, you know, if you're in that 18 to 35 year age range, you know, you're all kind of in that, you know, networking is important to help you figure out, you know, how you can advance in your career. So what better way to do it with the people who have similar interests? So those are some of the requirements and the benefits.
And Matt, just to touch base too, that we're hoping to have an in-person summit in Pennsylvania. So next year's celebration is in Clarion, Pennsylvania. And so mark your calendars. It's August 4th through the 8th. And so you can make it 2021. So just know that we plan to do something like we did in Michigan as well.
Cool. Thank you, Abby. Kenny, did we just get one more question come in?
Yeah, this is a good one. I think, how important is a chapter having an active social media presence, Instagram, Facebook, those things of nature, to the Next Gen audience?
Yeah, great question. Who wants to hit that one?
I can go.
All right, Felicia.
So Facebook is actually a place where a lot of people look for local events. So one thing that I was trying to start with our Facebook group was to put our group hikes on there. And then Instagram, I don't know if like separate chapters have their own Instagram, but I don't know. I think it would be helpful to see, I guess, pictures on there because kids are really drawn to social media right now. And if you're trying to recruit a younger audience, then you want to put information where they're going to find it.
Yeah, that's great. I wonder if, you know, chapters could recruit younger folks to take charge of their Instagram account, you know, rather than somebody who's 70 trying to figure out, you know, what makes a good picture, you know, give that opportunity to somebody who, you know, takes pictures of everything and is good at it. Any other ideas on the importance of social media?
The word that came to mind for me is that it's critical. It's just where we spend so much time and attention, whether that's healthy or not, I'm not commenting, but our eyeballs are glued there. And, you know, Facebook is a great way to connect people in a group and with events, like Felicia said. I think Instagram is a great place to show off the beauty of the trail. And there are so many destinations that are gorgeous, and maybe even just wooded sections that are gorgeous too. You can make a road look beautiful in the sunset, I would add. And so, you know, it's just a way of getting the trail, your chapter, in front of more people as a hook to try to draw them in closer. And I'd say if you can, and it's a great opportunity, like you already mentioned, to have a younger person engaged in volunteering to use their strengths to help the chapter grow.
Anything you want to add, Emily or Chase?
Yeah, social media presence is huge if you want to get people involved. Like I mentioned before, it's communication and trying to get out information to kids in the areas where they look. Absolutely, social media is essential.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything that's been said. That's where a lot of people are looking for events. That's where I find the events for the Western Michigan chapter is on Facebook. So just making sure that's up to date and there's an opportunity for some young person to get involved is to be the social media coordinator.
Yeah, great idea.
Can I add one quick thought there too? I think it's important to try to have some level of leave no trace language or kind of, you know, recreate responsibly included in there to just help people connect back to that body of work. Because there is the phenomenon too of kind of places being loved to death because of social media, and we all kind of want to be responsible and sharing things in a responsible manner. So being cognizant of that when sharing things is important as well.
Yeah, thank you, Jaren. Got any more, Kenny?
Oh, that's it. Great answers.
Anything that anybody on the panel wants to share? Things that we haven't covered? Parting wisdom. Apparently not. We must have covered it all. Kenny or Abby, anything you guys want to add?
I just want to say, oh, Kenny, did you have something?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I know 3 o'clock, I was about to say Monday, it's Tuesday. It's a different time, so I appreciate everybody taking their time out of their day to you know, be a part of our virtual celebration. We greatly appreciate all the support as always. We have 2 more celebration events. Thursday, we have one at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's our Creating Spaces. And so that will be a very nice one. And we also then have in September, it's an evening with the National Park Service. So we still have a few more. So always just check out our website and make sure to keep joining us. We appreciate everything and that you all do. So.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jaren, Felicia, Emily, and Chase. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for your involvement in the Next Gen Coalition and for sharing a little bit of that behind the scenes peek into what the coalition is all about. And thank you all for participating, and have a great day.
Thank you, Matt, and everybody else. Nice to meet you.
Hi, guys.
See you later. Take care.